Hello and welcome. I have to actually check to see if you guys have audio. Let me look at something really quick. Because what I want to talk about this right there, that thing. But even more than that, a false prophet. A false prophet. And here's what I'll do. I'll play the beginning of this video. And I have to also, for some reason, I don't have any, I have to do a pop-out chat. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Alright. I'm going to play this and we'll see what happens.
But the thing that's really important to revolutionize space is a rapidly reusable rocket. That's reliable too. So that's really what needs to happen. If that can be done, then the cost of access to orbit and beyond can be reduced by potentially a factor of 100 or more. So that's really what is most important about. It's got to be done by somebody's got to do this. If you have rapid and complete reusability, then that opens up. That is the gateway to the heavens.
1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
Oops. Alright, so I'm pausing it to see if... I'm sorry. I'm pausing it to see if you guys can hear the audio in the video. But I will do this. I will. Because I don't see any comments. And I don't even know if... It doesn't seem like something's right on my end. But I'm going to play the video. It's another couple minutes.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
What a beautiful day for a rocket launch here. As you can see, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying our stack of 60 Starlink satellites to orbit. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for Max Q, or the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the rocket will see. The vehicle is supersonic.
Okay, here we are. So, thank you, Captain Caveman. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of this, and I want everyone to realize that sees this, to realize that whatever you believe, that's what you believe, but I believe that there's a God in heaven, and that when they're sending these rockets up, that it's just the Tower of Babel of the end times. Okay? Listen to what Elon Musk says, and I'm calling him a false prophet. Because, well, you'll see why.
But the thing that's really important to revolutionize space is a rapidly reusable rocket. That's reliable too. So that's really what needs to happen. If that can be done, then the cost of access to orbit and beyond can be reduced by potentially a factor of 100 or more. So that's really what is most important about. It's got to be done by somebody's got to do this. And if you have rapid and complete reusability, then that opens up. That is the gateway to the heavens.
That is the gateway to the heavens, he says. So who is it that he is saying he's competing with? There's someone else that told us they're preparing a place for us in the heavens too. I could remind you. He said he would this guy I'm talking about was way before Elon Musk. He actually, sorry, I'm trying to find it. He said to them, I am the bread of life. Or actually I'm going to go before that. He answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you. No, that's not. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the place that I was just reading. I guess that. Let's see. Oh, it's even up higher than that. Okay. So he said, I can't find what I was just reading. Okay, I guess I'm going to start where I initially started, and so I just wasted a minute. Sorry, guys. And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you, that ye also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the Father's will, which hath sent me, that of all which he hath given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that every one which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. So he's saying he came down from heaven, and he's going to raise them up on the last day. Those who believe. So who are you going to listen to? That's basically why I'm doing this live stream. Who are you going to listen to? Richard Branson will bring you up to heaven. That's what they think. Elon Musk says rapid reusability of rockets is the gateway to the heavens. Well, let me read you something else that someone else said. And they said it way before Elon Musk was ever thought of. They said this, Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Okay. Now let's talk about this false prophet that's telling you that rapid rocket, or what did he say? The reusability of rockets. And he said rapid in there somehow. That was the gateway to the heavens. That's what he said. So what's he doing at SpaceX? They've been reusing rockets. they figured out how to land a rocket. And why is this significant? This is in your Bible, is what I'm saying, is that Jesus told us of false Christs, or there's somebody telling you, there's many people telling, like Jeff Bezos and NASA and tons of people are telling you they know how to go to heaven. Well, they're climbing up some other way. I think it's time to talk about this false prophet a little bit. I'm going to play some videos. I want to play the rest of this video. I started it but then kind of cut in the middle of it. So I think it's very important to pay attention to this specific activity that is on your screen here.
1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
What a beautiful day for a rocket launch here. As you can see, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying our stack of 60 Starlink satellites to orbit. Moments ago, we throttled the engines down in preparation for Max Q, or the maximum aerodynamic pressure that the rocket
Vehicle
will
is
see.
supersonic.
Vehicle is supersonic. And we should be passing through Max Q here in just a few seconds.
Vehicle has reached maximum aerodynamic pressure.
We just passed through Max Q.
But the thing that's really important to
Okay, next video. So that's what this guy's doing. His company SpaceX. They're doing that. Okay. Now, here's him talking about, well, I'll let him talk about it.
propulsive landing.
Getting the basic infrastructure of being able to reuse these rockets.
This is why it's significant, guys. He doeth great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men.
Propulsive landing.
Getting the basic infrastructure of being able to reuse these rockets.
Fast, you're going to do a final burn here in just a moment. There's final burn 1 and 2. 2 candles coming down. Double sonic booms.
Okay, I have to pause it and explain the verse that's on the screen. You just heard all that loud noise and those sonic booms. Well, we know that when there's a sonic boom, that there's something moving faster than sound can move. Because the sound has to, when you yell across to your neighbor, it echoes, or there's a time delay. You can actually hear it when it reaches your neighbor. Well, these things come in from that darkness they call space. I call it the firmament. They come from there at such a high rate of speed, and the sound that they make, it sounds like the exact same thing as a meteor or whatever. I had some people in the comments tell me there's no such thing as meteors, and I have to agree, but whatever it is that we call a meteor that comes in from the sky, like that one in Russia that broke a bunch of windows, and whatever that is, this is what it sounds like. And Enoch described seeing men riding on wagons in the sky on the winds, and the noise of their wagons was heard, and when this turmoil took place, the holy ones from heaven remarked it, and the pillars of the earth were moved from their place, and the sound thereof was heard from one end of heaven to the other in one day. How could anyone understand what Enoch saw until look what we're doing right now? We're observing the things that Enoch was shown. So here, I'm going to keep playing the video.
Two down, beautiful landing. And I see 2 standing.
Reusable rockets.
Holy shit! Wait for the booze.
Don't tell me that landing rockets is CGI or something. They're just landing big, huge rocket boosters. And everybody around there sees it. And hears it. And feels it.
I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization, and out there, ultimately be out there among the stars. And I think that's the exciting, inspiring future that I think certainly people in this room want.
Okay, so there's more. Yeah, subscribe.
So how does it feel to ride in a Dragon on top of the beast named Falcon 9?
Yeah, wow. I tell you, I don't know if there's words really to properly describe what that felt like. You talk about sitting on a dragon on top of the beast, and it definitely was. You knew you were going somewhere.
You knew you were going somewhere because they just rode up on a Dragon capsule that's lifted by that same reusable rocket. The Dragon lifts that, or the Falcon 9 lifts the Dragon capsule into orbit, and it had astronauts on it. You know, there's only a short time, very short time, I think, that this happens. How can I say that? Because this is written in Revelation, clearly. I don't know all the details, but in Revelation, there's a beast that John sees come up out of the earth, and it had 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. Well, there's 2 stages. There's the first stage and then the second stage of the rocket. And the second stage has the dragon attached to the front of it. And it does make fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. You just watched it on this video. And guess what else? There's something called commercial resupply contract that SpaceX has with NASA, where they've done 22 missions now, completed 22 resupply missions. So they bring cargo to and from, and now even astronauts too. On the Dragon capsule does that, okay? And if you think about the beast in Revelation 13, the first one gets its power from the dragon. Its great power, seat, and great authority from the dragon. That's just, what is it? The beast that comes up out of the bottomless pit. What have I been telling you that space is? It's outer darkness. It is a bottomless pit. Even NASA describes it as a bottomless pit. The astronauts, they think, are in a state of free fall. That's why they're floating. So even science says it's a bottomless pit. But the thing is, they're being tricked. They're going sideways. They're not going up to heaven. They're going sideways. You know what's interesting is that Lucifer said all those things in his heart about ascending up to heaven, and it says, but he will be brought down to the sides of the pit. I know how to get to hell. You do orbital velocity. Sideways. You go into that firmament, and there's a place that's it's not a physical material place like the Earth. As you can see, these astronauts, they experienced something different. But so these guys rode up on a dragon. It's very significant.
And this one was a little bit longer, so we actually had to live in Dragon for quite a while.
Ride in a dragon on top of the beast named Falcon 9.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Sitting on a dragon on top of the beast. Yeah, wow.
Stage 1 entry startup. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Fire come down from heaven on the earth.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Fire come down from heaven on the earth. fire come down from heaven on the earth.
Falcon 9 has landed.
Sitting on a dragon on top of the beast.
It's a bottomless pit.
In this abyss of darkness.
I really believe in the space frontier of the abyss, so to speak.
A good abyss. A good abyss.
And then the same guy, Elon Musk, he also talks about continuing the dream of Apollo. You know, in Apollyon in Revelation has a kingdom of darkness. Yeah.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX really was to make as much progress as possible to advance rocket technology to the point where hopefully we can establish a colony on Mars. Dream of Apollo.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo.
The angel of the bottomless pit.
Apollo.
All right, cool. I finally found the chat again. I don't know why my YouTube live streaming gig isn't showing me the chat. So I just saw Tiger Bear says, "Oh yeah, that's the question I had in mind. If orbiting is what they say it is, shouldn't you be able to orbit the Earth at like 50 feet off the ground if nothing is in the way of your trajectory?" Yes. That's what they would say yes, except that we don't know of any kind of material that can hold up moving through the air that fast. The air is like a brick wall. Actually, I got a video to play. There's a company called Rocket Lab, and they've been sending up rockets, smaller rockets, but they send them into orbit and they launch satellites for people. And there's a video I'm gonna grab here of something that they've coined a term for that. Basically, when you're outside of the air, or what they consider to be a vacuum or whatever, it's actually the firmament of heaven. Like, the air is where the earth is, or earth is where the air is. Once you leave the air, you're not on the earth. You're in a celestial, totally, entirely different realm with no physics. I think it's something that won't ever be understood other than physically, because that's why they're going to end up destroying this earth. Let me grab this video. It's called, I don't want to give it away. The title of it gives it away. Where is it? I know I just saw it a couple times earlier as I was getting ready for this stream. So I just have to go to the right place, and I think it's going to be in here. Sorry, guys. Oh no, that's the wrong one. I've been organizing some of my videos. Doesn't mean I have any kind of organization. I've just been trying to... Yeah. Where is it? There it is. I'm sorry, guys. But it is an important thing. So when someone... If someone were to say that the firmament was like glass, hard like glass, or strong like glass, anything like the idea of glass, this can explain what that might mean, how it's hard.
Engines now shut down on Electron's first stage. A reaction control system will reorient the stage 180 degrees to place it on an ideal angle for reentry. An ideal angle for reentry. An ideal angle for reentry. Designed to enable it to survive the incredible heat and pressure known as the wall during its descent back to Earth.
The wall. They started calling it the wall. And it's what it is it's when something's moving that fast and it comes back into the air will just tear it apart. But of course, the fallen angels taught men how to use metals and do certain things, and some of the alloys and some of the things that they have now can stand much more of that than anything that we've had in 10 years ago. And it's the same thing with rocket engines too. The amount of thrust that they produce today is insane. It's insane. It's the most powerful thing in the world as far as like energy or whatever would go. And it's because air is a very, it's like molasses or something. It's like we can see right through it, but stick your hand out of the window of the car when you're going 55 or whatever, you can feel that air. You can tell that it's dragging on you. It's trying to slow your hand down, So I'm going to play the rest of this.
And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. The firmament.
The wall.
The firmament.
An ideal angle for reentry.
The firmament.
The wall.
The firmament.
The wall.
The firmament.
Incredible heat and pressure reentry.
And I got something.
The wall.
I got something coming up here. It's a little lighter. It's a little funnier. So let's check it out.
The world is flat, known for thousands of years.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Our question is, what is the exact purpose of having humans live on the space station? Thanks.
We're going to put in a new experiment next week that's coming up on Dragon.
We're leaving Earth.
Dragon.
The space station is a robust, tough spaceship. And we are, for the first time in history, with this space station, as a planet, as a species, we're leaving Earth. The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. We're leaving Earth.
Dragon.
It's a bottomless pit. The space station is, we're leaving Earth.
Dragon.
Of deep black. Almost so deep it almost has a texture when you look at it. And
The smell in there is a little bit like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there.
Dragon.
And in the sun, in the shiny part, it's 150 degrees.
The part of you that's in the sun, it's plus 250 degrees.
And in the shade, it's minus 120 degrees.
In the shade in space, it's like minus 250 degrees.
But it's a bottomless pit.
The smell in there is a little bit like brimstone, like a witch has just been there.
We're leaving Earth. The space station is
Dragon.
It's a bottomless pit.
Dragon.
The space station is, we're leaving Earth.
Oh, yeah.
And to really believe in the space frontier, the abyss, so to speak.
The good abyss, yeah.
But
it's a bottomless pit.
Globe heads.
Crew Dragon. The Crew Dragon to get us from Earth to low Earth orbit. The Crew Dragon, the Falcon 9 rocket into space. Crew Dragon, Crew Dragon, Crew Dragon, now here on the International Space Station.
Orbiting laboratory. Work is being done up there.
The International Space Station is outside the Earth's atmosphere in space. Tricky spacewalk. Astronaut on the International Space Station to help keep the space station running. Maybe you're working on the toilet to understand dark matter to space and thawing out, human cells to return that science to Earth's microgravity laboratory. It's like 6,000 square feet up here in the International Space Station. There's a lot of other people up here. We're going to be here for 6 months. We're in it for the long haul, which is also very exciting.
Spacewalks and using tools in space.
The Artemis program.
The Artemis program.
The Artemis program and the work that we do right here on the International Space Station. Been an astronaut. Oh gosh, I'm just not going to be any good at that. Space station, we're looking back billions of light years. It's kind of mind-boggling.
To the space station.
I experienced some nausea.
How is sleeping in space?
Because you're just floating. It's not used to just floating. And so it does feel a little weird.
Floating up in space.
Our planet is 2/3 covered in ocean. Of course, I love to look out the window at our beautiful planet. It's lovely to look out the window and watch the world go by. Well, it's got to be floating. You can just kind of perch up on the wall. I can just hop over to the side and just find a nice little perch to sit on board the space station.
What does it smell like in space?
So that's an interesting question. So it smells like people up here. It's not really fresh air. When people went out to do a spacewalk and then came back inside, I smelled the smell of cooking meat. It smelled like hamburger to me, which was so strange. And that smell is the smell that space smells like hamburger. It smelled like hamburger to me, which was so strange. We have so much fun up here. It's just a great time up here. I smelled the smell of cooking meat, and we're getting paid for it. 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 Maybe you're working on the toilet. And so it does feel a little weird. Oh gosh, I'm just not going to be any good at that. And we're getting paid for it, 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 paid for it. I smelled the smell of cooking meat. It's kind of mind-boggling. And we're getting paid for it, paid for it.
The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is.
Okay, I have another one.
Attention all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the launch status check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
OTC is go.
TBC. Tank and booster go. PTC. PTC is go. LPS. LPS is go. Mila. Mila is go. STM. STM is go. Safety console. Safety console is go. SPE. SPE is go. LRD. LRD is go. SRO. SRO is go. You have a range clear to launch. And CDR. CDR is go. And Launch Director NTD, our launch team is ready to proceed. I copy that. I'll do my poll at this time. KC Chief Processing Engineer, verify no constraints to launch. No constraints. Thank you, Steve. Safety, safety, mission assurance. Safety and mission assurance, let's go, Mike. Thank you, Terry. Payload launch manager. Hey, Mike, on behalf of the ISS ground processing team, I want to say thanks to you and the shuttle team. It's been a great partnership, and we are go. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Range weather.
Launch weather has no constraints for launch.
Thank you, Kathy. Atlantis flow director.
On behalf of the Atlantis and KSC Civil Processing Team, we are go.
Thank you, Angie. Atlantis launch director. Air to ground 1.
Atlantis, go.
Okay, Fergie, we're starting to feel pretty good down here on the ground about this one today. So on behalf of the greatest team in the world, good luck to you and your crew on the final flight of this true American icon. And so for the final time, Fergie, Doug, Sandy, and Rex, good luck, Godspeed, and have a little fun up there.
Hey, thanks to you and your team, Mike. Until the very end, you all made it look easy. The shuttle's always going to be a reflection of what a great nation can do when it dares to be bold and commits to follow through. We're not ending the journey today, Mike. We're completing a chapter of a journey that will never end. You and the thousands of men and women who gave their hearts, souls, and their lives for the cause of exploration have rewritten history. Let's light this fire one more time, Mike, and witness this great nation at its best. The crew of Atlantis is ready for launch.
0 and liftoff, the final liftoff of Atlantis. On the shoulders of the space shuttle, America will continue the dream.
Roger roll, Atlantis. Houston now controlling the flight of Atlantis. The space shuttle spreads its wings one final time for the start of a sentimental journey into history. 24 seconds into the flight.
All right, so that was kind of funny, the ending. But so this guy that we've been talking about, this false prophet, he also claims to do another thing and be able to heal the blind and make the crippled walk. Let's check this out.
Someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed, what will take place?
Well, for version 1 of the device, it would be basically implanted in your skull. So, but it would be flush with your skull. So you basically take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there. You put the electrode, you'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain, and then you stitch it up, and you wouldn't even know that somebody has it, and so then it can interface basically anywhere in your brain. So it could be something that helps cure, say, eyesight, like returns your eyesight, even if you've lost your optic nerve type of thing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Hearing, obviously. I mean, pretty much anything that it could, in principle, fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain, and it could restore limb functionality. So if you've got interface into the motor cortex and then an implant that's that's like a microcontroller in your muscle groups, you could then create a sort of a neural shunt that restores somebody who's a quadriplegic to full functionality. Like they can walk around, be normal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
maybe slightly better.
Slightly better?
Over time, yes.
You mean with future iterations?
Like the $6 million man. Although
Right.
these days that doesn't
That's
seem like
pretty
much.
cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
$6 billion man.
Yeah.
So the hole would be small. How big would the hole be that you have to drill and then replace with this piece? It's only one hole?
Well, yeah, the device we're working on right now is about an inch in diameter. And your skull's pretty thick, by the way. So skulls are...
Mine is, for sure.
It might actually literally be. I mean, if you're a big guy, your skull is actually fairly thick. Skull's is like 7 to 14 millimeters. So
Mine's probably a couple of inches.
A half inch, half inch thick skull-ish. So that's a fair bit of, like, we got quite a coconut going on there. It's not like some eggshell.
Oh yeah, I believe you.
So you basically implant the device.
And so it would be like a 1 inch square? Or 1 inch in diameter?
Yeah,
So an inch circle, like a circular?
Yeah, I think like a smartwatch or something like that, or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you take this 1 inch diameter, like ice fishing, right? You ever go ice fishing?
No, but I'd like to.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So you basically take an auger and you drill through the surface of the ice.
Yeah.
Create a small hole and you can dunk your line in there. So this is like that. You're ice fishing on the top of your skull and then you cork it.
Yeah, and you replace that, say 1 inch diameter piece of skull with this Neuralink device. And that has a battery and a Bluetooth and a inductive charger, and then you also got to insert the electrodes. So the electrodes are very carefully inserted with our robot that we developed. That's very carefully putting in the electrodes and avoiding any veins or arteries, so it doesn't create trauma.
So through this 1 inch diameter device, electrodes be inserted and they will find their way
like tiny wires, basically.
Tiny wires. And they'll find their way to specific areas of the brain to stimulate?
No, you literally put them where they're supposed to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you insert.
How long will these wires be?
I mean, they usually go in depending on where it is, 2 or 3 millimeters.
So they just find the spots?
Yeah.
Wow.
Returns your eyesight, even if you've lost your optic nerve type of thing. Will fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain, and it could restore limb functionality. So it restores somebody who's a quadriplegic to full functionality, like they can walk around, be normal. It's about an inch in diameter. Yeah, and you replace that, say 1 inch diameter piece of skull with this Neuralink device, and then you also got to insert the electrodes. So the electrodes are very carefully inserted with our robot that we developed.
All right, so we must wake up and wake everyone up about rockets. I know it sounds ridiculous, but when you read what the prophets wrote, the things they saw, they couldn't really be understood until today. They really couldn't. when they saw a he-goat, or something that they described as a he-goat, flying up to the stars. 100 years ago, what would that have meant to someone? They would have been like, I don't know what that is. But today, when we see little things doing that, we have to wake up to this. So there's one other thing off topic about the Earth rotating. Does the Earth rotate? Here's the last video I think I'm going to play today. All throughout recorded time, the billions of people who have lived full lives and passed on, and all the people alive today have something in common. All of us have lived our lives on ground that appears in every way to be completely stationary. This is a fact. Nobody has ever observed the Earth rotating beneath their feet. It always appears to be completely still unless there's an earthquake or landslide or something like that. The world we live on appears to be stationary, and everyone who has ever been alive is witness to this simple observation. Often when debating the subject of Earth's rotation, people bring up a moving bullet train or a merry-go-round and try to explain that something moving at a constant velocity will feel stationary unless there is acceleration. This is an example of an observation that is only confusing people into assuming there's already motion happening, and we just can't tell. I will point out that Earth is not a bullet train or a merry-go-round. Earth is stationary, not moving ground that the bullet train and merry-go-round move over. To make a measuring device or apparatus to detect movement or rotation of the Earth is being opposed by the entire human race's observation. Are we measuring what we think we are measuring if it goes against the observations we make? This is where we need to question whether we are measuring something in reality, or if we are assuming that we are measuring something in reality and attributing it to something we don't observe at all, and calling that an observation, even one that trumps our actual observations in reality. But I encourage everyone who sees this to realize that this subject is not being debated because people are dumb or smart. It is happening because we were born into a time when the world has become confused about the order of the stars and the nature of the Earth, and have forgotten God and considered the heavens to be our domain. I can give my testimony about being shown some of these things and told to go out and talk about them. You might find that strange, but there's a place called heaven, and God is revealing new things to many people, and they are true and are quite simple to observe in the real world that He made for us. As I have mentioned before, this current debate was known about and written about by many prophets of God, and they wrote of a time when God would transform the earth and make it a blessing and cause His elect to dwell there, but those who chose to believe a lie would not set foot there. The truth is important, so be honest with yourself when considering these things.